Welcome back to the channel. Today this video is about weathering the top of an N-scale boxcar. Well, I started with just a plain boxcar. I tried to do it without actually having to spray the top of it, but I didn't like the results or where it was actually going, so I've decided to go with a full silver roof. Now I could have done that before everything, but change of plans, this is what happens. So a bit of painter's tape. I find this not bad at all. It won't damage the side that we've weathered because we've sealed it with a clear coat, so it should have no problems there. So I'll just go around it with the painter's tape and have it fully sealed, and just go over it with a light spray of silver in a spray can. That's all you need. Nothing fancy here, just a light spray, as most of it will be weathered. So that's the good part about weathering. You don't need to be precise with stuff, as you can really just make it up as you go. It's one of the good things of weathering. You can hide a lot of things with it, and you don't have to be precise. So we're just making sure that all the edges are sealed, so there's no accidental rundown of a silver paint down the side. Again, the painter's tape, it's not as tacky as your masking tape. It's actually pretty perfect for this sort of work. So we just make sure it's tugged in all the edges. And again, we're just going to do a light coat straight over the top, so we can start off with a nice silver. Now the silver's been sprayed on, just like that, just with a spray can. Cheap silver, doesn't even have to be anything model type. It can be a anything. Nothing. I've got a big shelf full of spray cans, but they're just general spray cans. I use them all day, every day for this sort of work. If you're going to spray an actual engine or a wagon or a truck or something, then you might want to go to some of the other actual hobby spray cans or your actual spray gun. As you can see, nothing's happened to the side using the painter's tape. It's all fine. And there's a little bit of silver in the gutterings around it, but that will all be taken care of with the rust and the weathering. You can see how light a coat that is, because you can see the actual rust colour I practiced with earlier on the left hand side of the roof. It's a little bit darker in colour. That's what it's all about, just practicing and playing around with stuff. But it's all ready to go. And again, we'll be using same paints as the sides, which is the artist paints, brown earth. That's my go-to really, that colour. I use that in every type of rust job, as you'll get to know going through the videos. Good old rust streaks, that's just fantastic, that stuff. It really works a treat. And then we're just using the dark rust pigments, which will be dusted on last. Now the paints are actually shown in order, so you know what order they'll go in. Again, these are my paint brushes I use, and I'll also be using in this job a sponge. Now just go to the cheap $2 sponge, a $2 shop, and you can get these paint brushes that are thick, and you just use them. They're $2 for about 4 or 5, and you just pull them apart. So here we are with the artist paint. Now we're just going to brush on over the ribs, the high points of the top of the boxcar. Doesn't have to be neat, tidy again, it's just straight on there. It's a tedious sort of a job, you've got to go through the whole lot, but it's worth it. Just highlighting the top ribs of the roof. Not too worried if it dries a bit. Again, you can use oil paints, it won't dry. It takes days for it to dry, even weeks sometimes. So you can use oil paints, you can manipulate them a lot more for longer periods of time, but I'll just come over with some water on the brush and dilute it down and just rub it in. I don't seem to have a problem with it. So you get the idea here. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be thick in certain places. That's the good part about rust. It's just, it can be anything and everything. It just changes its pattern all the time with whatever goes. It's you can't really go wrong with it unless you take it horizontally across the side of the boxcar. But you never know. That boxcar could have been extreme weather for a very long time. Here we're just putting it down through the gutters of the boxcar roof just to hide the little bit of silver that's actually sprayed up on the side. Not much at all actually, so it's just again we're going to come back with a bit of watered down product on our brush and blend it all in. Just to take that silver away from the further down the edges of the boxcar. Now of course, you should really plan these out before you start your boxcar, what colour you're going to do your roof. I honestly thought I'd do it brown, but I just didn't like the look of it, so I went silver at the end of it. Now I've done all the highlighting of the ribs. Now I'm going to come back with some water and start blending them in. Plenty of water. Reactivates the artist paint, as you can see. It can dry a little bit, doesn't really matter. I love using little brushes because you just seem to get some really neat little effects, especially in N-scale. You need those little effects because you can, but it's not that easy to get those really cool effects in N-scale. Again, this boxcar will be just another one in the train, so I'm not really too worried about how it comes out. As long as it's a bit different than the rest, it's fine by me. So I'll probably put four of these types of boxcars in the train, and the other ones will be very lightly weathered, nothing too harsh. It just tends to make it look a little bit more natural, having a really rusty one in the middle of the lightly rusty one. So just blending it in with all the water. You get a cotton bud, and you can wipe a fair bit of that water away if it just got a bit too much. Blending in a bit more. It soaks it up really nice. I have a heap of these on hand. They're fantastic for all the rust, doing all your weathering. You can spray. I use a spray can on some things and actually come back with some terps on it, and you can actually get rub it in, and you can actually get that effect of it rubbed off. It's using a cotton bud. So I use these a lot. Just a bit more water, cotton bud, and just rubbing it around. There's 100 different ways of doing roofs. There's 100 different videos out there of how to do the roofs. I just thought I'd show you guys how I do them. I'm going to take one little tip off it. Fantastic. That's what I'm here for, just to show you how I do it. And if you can learn just one little thing out of it, or apply something that I did that you didn't think of, that's great. Now, using the sponge, you'll get that chipping effect. So you dab it in there, and then just dab it on the, that's just a little old scrap piece of wood. You could use cardboard, anything like that. So you get that effect, and then you start dabbing it on. This is a really cool effect. I love this. And you start getting that chipping effect all over the roof. You don't want to go too far with it. That's the thing with weathering, you got to sort of know when to pull back, because you can actually go a bit too far and go, oh damn, I've gone too far. It's all good. You can either wipe it off or come back and lighten it again with, like, I'd just respray that whole roof silver again and start again. But I'm very happy with that. Very happy. A lot of people can leave it like that. They'd be very happy just leaving it like that and going from there. The next step really highlights it, and it brings out that sponge effect, the chipping and the rust. Just gets that golden effect. And there's no, just attack it in all different areas. There's no formal way of doing weathering. Just dab it on. So this is a wash, so it'll actually, it's very thin and it'll actually flow. That's why I've got it actually on a bit of a lean, the boxcar, so it just flows a little bit into the cracks. Some areas you can make it really thick, other areas just fade it out. You find that most of the thicker colours are around the ribs and the sides of the boxcar, and then just fade it around using a little brush. As you can see, that golden effect, that looks, to me, that's very cool. Now again, when we hit it with a matte finish at the end, it actually it dilutes it a lot more than what it is, so it looks pretty full on there. And just dab it on. Just little effects. Take your time with it. Don't be in any hurry at all. As you can see, the rust, it's really bringing out the rust now. And the sponge effect. So when that dries, that'll be a matte finish. It's shiny at the moment because it's still wet. Just go around making sure you've just got the little darker edges to the corner on the corners. Along the edge is a bit darker because that's where the water flows. There'll be a lot more rust down through there. There's your whole effect there. You can keep going with it. Just don't forget the little cutting areas there. You can see where the silver is. There'll be a bit more rusty down that side. And that pretty much nearly finishes off the top of that. Let that dry a bit. So let that dry now. And that again would be pretty much perfect. Put that on the right way, the way it is. But I'll go that little bit extra, and I'll use a bit of dark rust pigment. Again, a lot of pigments will disappear when you put the clear on it. It just gives it that another layer again of rust. Again, that looks very dark, but that will very much disappear as you go along. Just blends everything together. You see how it highlights a lot of the rust effects. I love pigments because it just seems to blend everything in. It just makes it look so natural. It's the best product that's ever come on the market, pigment products. It's made weathering very easy. The old days of having to use your chalk pastels and sand them all down to powders. Still got a drawer full of them. I still use them. But these are definitely a lot better. They hold the colour a lot better than the chalk pigments, the old chalk pigments from an artist shop. But if you're only just starting out, there's nothing wrong with those. Just make sure you sand them down to a fine powder. With them, you might need to take 2 or 3 layers and hit them and cover it with a flat clear. Every time after each coat. Now that's that one. Now we're going to hit it with a flat clear, and that'll really bring out all the detail. Again, just a flat clear. I still use a hobby one. So there it is there. Flat clear's pretty much nearly dry. You can see all the depth of it, the different colours. You can still see that silver deep in the base of it, which is pretty cool. Now, next video, we're going to do the ends, and we're going to do the bottom, and the trucks, and the wheels. We'll finish this whole boxcar off. So that's about it. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.